This is episode 1 of the Things We Like podcast, Things We Like with Wade and Mike. I'm going to start things off with this tasty LaCroix tangerine. Now, I know what you're thinking. LaCroix sucks ass. That's what a lot of people think. But you get used to it.
You do.
When you're in your 30s, a lot of you young folks out there, you're going to have to listen to this. You just start putting on weight. It's not like when you're 22 and you could just drink all night and eat Taco Bell at 3 in the morning and then just wake up and eat cake all day. Your body doesn't work that way. So you got to pretend that you're drinking soda even though you're very clearly not.
Right.
But if you've tried a lot of LaCroix and you don't like it, try the tangerine. That's all I got to say.
That's true. Different flavors are more tolerable than others. Especially, and like you were saying, you want to, when you're not drinking soda, sometimes that's all you can really have.
Yeah.
So, you learn to appreciate it a lot more.
Carbonation. I love it. I love beer. I've got Burnham Brewing's beer right here, the creamed corn. But the thing is like, usually I drink pop or I drink beer. Because I can't, if I drink both, that's just too many calories. But that's,
keep an eye on them cows.
That's all stuff you'll have to worry about when you're 30 or so years old. No longer can you eat bread. A lot of things get ruined, but let's get off that topic. Talk about some other stuff we like.
Things we don't like is getting old.
Don't like it.
Here's some things we do like.
What you got today, Wade?
Well, I guess, the first thing I have is this book here. It's called Scored to Death. That's one thing that we're both kind of into is, film scores in general, but mainly horror film scores.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a bunch of, basically text interviews with, people like John Carpenter, people like members from the band Goblin.
Oh, wow.
People like that are really well known for doing that kind of thing. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is it, so Goblin's reformed now, and they've got Goblin Rebirth, which have you ever listened to them?
I've listened to their stuff before, but I haven't listened to any of the new stuff that's come out.
The new stuff's got 2 of the old members, which Goblin, if you're unfamiliar, from the first incarnation, Goblin was very prog rock,
right?
Like Italian horror film. If you haven't checked out Goblin, you should. They're good, just rock music in the vein of like Yes and King Crimson, a lot of 70s prog rock. But the new Goblin has 2 of the old members, and they're kind of doing what John Carpenter's doing right now, where they're mixing, and Zombie, where they're mixing heavy metal music with the horror film score stuff.
like ambient synthy kind of stuff like that.
Voyager, for instance, is a lot like that.
If you're wondering what the difference is with them being Italian, it's they hold their guitar picks like this. Kind of.
Hey!
Oh, it's a spicy pick there.
Speaking of Italian,
you know that's gonna go somewhere good.
We just me and my wife went to the Olive Garden, and this baby, there was a baby behind us. I don't know. Maybe you can leave a comment in the comments section, see if I'm just being a grumpy old man or not. But this baby was screaming its head off the entire meal, and I don't know. For me, it's just like I feel like I couldn't do it.
Some people just can't handle their wine. That's all it is.
If I was the child's parent, I think I would just be too embarrassed, and I would get my food to go, and I would say, look, my kid's just being heinous. But maybe that's just because I'm a guy with no kids. I don't know.
Could be.
Maybe I just don't know.
That seems like the sensible thing to do, though. I feel like if you talk to reasonable parents, they'd probably say the same thing.
I just couldn't enjoy what I was eating the whole time. It grumped me out.
Just pasta going from fork to mouth.
Then
excuse me.
The kid realized too that I wasn't too into all the screaming, and then he started ducking his head like over the booth and was like smiling at me and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That made it even worse.
Oh man.
Moving on to things that I like, though. Rebel Bookseller. This is a book we have for sale at the record store. This book right here, we're starting to do books at the record store. Eventually, maybe if we build up enough of a collection, we'll do like an alternative used and new bookstore. So I wanted to read this because it is basically about independent bookstores. Mm-hmm. And I thought this would be a good one to talk about because it's pretty interesting. The author of this book was in an independent bookstore right before all the chains kind of grew legs.
Oh, yeah. So,
the independent bookstore, and then Walden Books was the first big one. And then after Walden Books was like Barnes & Noble, places of that mega size.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes through basically how they were crushed by these chains, but then managed to find a way to survive.
Oh, yeah.
And then it gets to Amazon.com, because a lot of people forget now Amazon in its early days was pretty much strictly books.
Oh, yeah.
And it ruined a lot of small bookstores. And it basically just lists innovative ways that they were able to stay alive amidst all that competition. And it basically, what it really gets to is that your bookstore has to be, which I've always thought this for the record store, your bookstore has to have some kind of unique flavor to it.
Right.
That's really going to suit your local community.
It's for like a visual metaphor. The thing that always makes me think of is like, independent bookstores and like places like this. It makes me think of like plant life coming up out of concrete, like making its way through. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Like it's something to distinguish itself from the rest of the bland like chain stores and stuff like that.
Well, and specifically they break down the mathematics for that. So Amazon makes, and most bookstores, they make the majority of their money off the smallest amount of titles.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason why people go to them is because they have variety. So any bookstore out there probably makes all their money off 10% of their books. And the rest of it is just kind of almost wallpaper. Nobody buys the titles, but since they look into a bookstore and see hundreds of, sometimes thousands of books everywhere, they assume, this place has a great selection. They go in for their New York Times bestseller. The bookstore could be, a tiny little...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's cool. Breaks down how they stayed alive, and I think it's a good read for anybody who's interested in bookstores, especially independent bookstores.
Oh, yeah. I have always kind of wondered about that. I didn't know that was like an actual tactic to try and like pull people in, like just having, that's millions. If we're talking about books a million,
that's basically what they were saying is that, people would stop going to their small mom and pop bookstore because they would assume that, hey, this place has so much variety. But they were pretty much buying the exact same books.
Right.
They were just going into a place where they could be like surrounded by a large inventory.
Because a lot of the books in there, you see, like, who's buying this shit? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the other thing, too, which is really cool that I'm learning about the book industry versus the record industry. These records, I might have $17 invested in a brand new record. Mm-hmm. It's non-returnable. Every record that we get, if we don't sell it, we eat it.
Why is that? Why?
Because they're so now it's not that way on CDs. They're so easy to be damaged.
Oh yeah.
So if I had these records stored in this bin right here, they could say, "Hey, the sunlight comes in from and it has warped your records."
So it's like not mint now.
Yeah,
I see.
And so you just can't, But the book industry, everything's returnable. So when you go into one of these big chain bookstores and you see that they have 50 copies of, Jordan Peterson's new book, it doesn't matter if it sells or not. If they sell 4 copies and they have 30 left over, they can return all those books.
Shit, they're so returnable that they tell you to rip the cover off, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
Whatever. It's paper.
Same with magazines too. So.
Now, what was that one called?
It's called The Rebel Bookseller by Andrew. I'm going to pronounce it incorrectly, probably Laties.
Oh, right on.
But yeah, pretty sweet.
Nice.
Well, what's next up? What do you got?
Okay. Well, the next one I have, this is a record, or for some of you, that's a very big CD. It's a band Ghost, and this is their EP Pope Star. If you've never heard Ghost before, they're basically back in the 70s when kids would listen to like Alice Cooper and Black Sabbath. Parents are like, "Oh, it's satanic," turn it off or whatever. This is actually that satanic. But it's really tongue-in-cheek, so, if that kind of stuff offends you, I wouldn't, I'd take it with a grain of salt for sure.
I know plenty, Christian people that really like Ghost.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
haven't talked to many, just because I try to avoid the subject a little bit,
I think they get that it's, in good fun.
Yeah. Well, this is one... like a single that they had on the radio. I'm sure you've heard it. It's called Square Hammer. And then the rest of it is covers. Like they have a Echo and the Bunnymen cover on there, and then like a Eurythmics cover.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty cool.
What's
yeah.
the Eurythmics cover?
Missionary Man.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's it's not super new or anything, but it's the latest thing they put out, and they actually have a new album coming out June 1st. So,
what's the new album?
Oh, it's a weird... They use, weird Latin words and stuff. I can't really... It's like prequel or something like that.
I myself, I don't know a lot about Ghost. The record you let me borrow...
Opus Eponymous.
Yeah,
was that one.
I like that record, listen to it a lot.
Yeah.
But there's people who are big fans of Ghost that come into the record store.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're playing the Clyde Theater in Fort Wayne.
Yes.
Here, when is that?
It's the 29th.
Okay,
29th,
cool.
yeah. On Tuesday.
People are telling me that they've retired. So, if you don't know much about Ghost, they have this character called Papa
Emeritus, yeah.
Yeah, and he's had different... I've actually got... Let me grab one right here. I've got one of his likenesses right here. So... that's one of the different costumes he's worn. He has a big staff.
And the lore is that they're all from the same bloodline.
Okay.
So it's...
It hasn't so there's been different people, Dave Grohl's played drums for a tour and nobody even knew.
Yeah, well, the way that works, the accompanying band of Papa Emeritus has been super, interchangeable ever since the beginning. They, because it's him, he wears his thing, and he's the named character. But the rest of them they just call nameless ghouls, and they all wear the same mask, same outfit. So like you said, it could really be anybody. Like Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl played a set with them, and they still haven't disclosed which one it was because I really want to know.
Oh, I thought he did a whole tour. He just
no.
Did one show.
He might have. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, they won't say. They pretty much have just confirmed that he, was involved during at least one show.
But I've heard that they're retiring this Papa character.
Yeah, so there have been 3 of them. The Papa Emeritus 1, 2, and 3, and the new character is called Cardinal Copia, and he's a little more normal looking, as normal as you could be in that universe. You know, he doesn't have the face paint and whatnot, and actually on this tour they have right now they have the dead bodies of all the 3 Papa Emerituses.
Yeah, don't they put them on display?
Yeah, so people can take pictures with them and stuff like that.
I've heard another crazy thing about how they're supposedly going to be circling some of these venues with nuns on motorcycles.
Oh yeah,
and that they're going to be I've heard that it's going to be a lot more interactive.
Yeah,
I heard there was maybe a female ghoul involved this time.
Yeah. From what I've seen a couple live videos from the tour they're doing right now, and it looks like they have 2, or at least 1 more ghoul than they usually do, because usually it's drummer, keyboard player, 2 guitarists and a bass player, but they have another keyboard player now that does a little bit of percussion too, maybe, and I think that's a female ghoul. She has a special female kind of model mask and stuff.
That's cool.
Don't know who it is though. I wish I could,
Yeah.
give credit because they seem to be doing a good job.
If you're one of the ghouls, please write.
Reach
or
out.
Maybe comment under here. Reach out to us. Well, that's cool. Well, we had move on to my next one here. We had Maps Analysis play at the record store last weekend, which was a really good time.
Oh yeah. Those guys are cool.
They were nice enough to give us their new album about a month early. Now, I've been listening to it a lot, and I really like it. I didn't catch Maps Analysis, for people who don't know. They were very well known in the beginnings of what was called math rock. And math rock, if you're unfamiliar, is music with just really interesting, quick changes that are all in odd time signatures, a lot of finger tapping on the guitar. And Maps and Atlases were kind of like one of the biggest bands for that sound. Now, in particular, I'm not a fan of that sound. So I never gravitated towards them when they started. I found out about them because one of the guys that helps run the shop, Adam, is friends with the singer of this band. So I found out about them like 3 or 4 albums into their career on an album called Perch Patchwork. And they still do a little bit of the finger tapping stuff. It's pretty interesting for an indie rock band. But now they're pretty much more like an indie rock band.
Yeah. It's still there, but kind of minimal.
Yeah, it's not. But I think that's kind of what's cool. Is it kind of gives them an edge against like the Shins or Fleet Foxes or any of these bands, because they add like an element of that technical math rock thing into their sound.
Yeah.
And especially their drummer. All 3 of the members now that are left from the original lineup are all incredibly talented, but
they're all from Chicago, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so they just put this out. It's their first album in several years. They did a small tour of Japan, and they did kind of like a practice gig here for their summer tour that they're about to go on. So this won't be released for another month or so, but I would keep your eyes on it.
I didn't know that was not even out yet. I thought that was like just recently.
Yeah, man, one of the songs that you could check out right now on YouTube, at least, I don't know if it's up on Spotify, is called Fall Apart, and it's really good. And they've actually already got a couple music videos out there.
I saw the one that they did on their Instagram story. Did you see that?
Where they were in Japan?
Yeah.
So their drummer apparently is like he's really good at video editing.
Oh, really?
He shot that whole thing on an iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, when I look at that video, I mean, I've seen some good stuff people have done on iPhones with editing software, but that looked like a video to me where they were using like a really expensive
like the Red
you know?
Brand on a dolly and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it did just kind of seem like just straight shot and then walking backward, but it looked awesome.
Yeah,
did a really good job with like the if he did any. I've never been to Japan, so it might just look that awesome there all the time.
Right. I'd love to go to Japan.
Oh, me too. If there was one place on Earth you could go, where do you think it'd be?
That's hard. I've got several on the hit list. I'd really like to go see the pyramids in Egypt.
That would be awesome.
I've always been into that.
It'd be cool to hit all the wonders of the world.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like a tour that you could like go on or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be expensive. But, I mean, obviously London would be great for all the music.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know, one place.
I mean, I suppose it could be a bunch of places. I don't mean to make it too limiting.
It'd be hard, because Australia would be great
You
too.
choose or you die.
Do you have a certain place in mind that you'd like to go to?
Well, I've got a couple. I'd really like to go to Seattle sometime. Which, have you ever been there? I know you've kind of toured around.
We were there for a short time, but yeah.
Nice. Just Washington State in general, because I really want to go see all like the Twin Peaks shooting locations and stuff like that. Or Stonehenge. I've always wanted to go to Stonehenge.
Yeah, Stonehenge would be awesome.
So, shout out to Spinal Tap on that. Spinal T.
Tasty LaCroix. What you got there, Wade?
Okay, next thing here is King Tough, The Other. This is a brand new yeah, I'd say brand new album.
It's good.
It's a lot different from his normal stuff, which I recommend you kind of check that out too. I would say this is my favorite band, but it's not really a band, and my favorite band is Avenged Sevenfold, so I'll say he's my favorite solo artist, I guess. His normal stuff's really like garage rocky, kind of almost, stoner fuzz rock kind of stuff like that. But this is kind of, it's a lot more, what would you call it? Like psychedelic, funky kind of stuff like that.
So his last album was, I feel like the Purple album, which is kind of my favorite.
Yeah.
Does it have a title or is it just self-titled?
Black Moon Spell.
Black Moon Spell, yeah. Black Moon Spell is probably my favorite, and it had more of like T-Rex meets Jack White kind of sound.
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
With it was a little bit of Ramones. It's a really good sound, and so this album I was expecting maybe a continuation of that, maybe a little bit of an altered style, but this one to me is more. It's been what 3-4 years since he's put an album out.
Yeah, so like 3.5, something like that.
It sounds to me like maybe he's like been chilling and maybe taking some psychedelics and
partaking.
Yeah, because like it's really good stuff, but it's way more chill. The effects on it, the effects on the last album was fuzz and distortion.
Yeah,
this is more like
a lot of phaser stuff like that.
Yeah, reverb. There's a couple songs that remind me of Bob Dylan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like an acid-drenched Bob Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
A couple funky songs. Yeah, it's
and
really
good. You can tell just from like the first song on the album. It's called The Other too. It's like self-titled or the titular song, whatever they would call that.
Yeah.
However you pronounce it. It's a lot more. It's just like a really soft piano ballad kind of thing. Usually people don't start off albums with those. So
when that track came out, it was like the first one that he released.
Yeah, and it was just out of nowhere too. I shit everywhere.
I kind of wasn't on board.
Oh really?
Because I was like, it just didn't seem, it wasn't what how when an artist doesn't give you exactly what you want, what you were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very slow, and but now that I've listened to the album several times, it's the perfect intro track for that album.
Oh yeah, yeah. Good album though. King Tuff, I recommend this album and everything else that he's done. He did a little work with Ty Segall on the Emotional Mugger album, and
that whole thing. Yeah, the whole band there is kind of like a group that they. If you like King Tuff, they all play with with each other's bands. Mm-hmm. So you're probably going to like Ty Segall, who's another kind of like fuzzy garage rock guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to like Mikhail Cronin, who usually plays bass. There's a bunch of those guys that kind of play in each other's bands.
Yeah,
I think last time we went to go see Ty Segall.
Yeah,
he had at least Mikhail Cronin in the band.
Yeah.
And he may have had Charles Moonhart, which Charles Moonhart, the drummer, he has his own band called the Moonharts, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, that band he had with him on that tour was awesome. The Freedom Band, they were really cool.
Loud.
Yeah. That was probably one of the louder shows I've been to.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got one more record here for you, and then after this record, I think we're gonna try out what'd you bring here?
Well, I brought hot sauce. So an idea we had was every episode at the end try out different hot sauces just for fun or whatever. I used to do the subscription box called Fuego Box where they send me 3 every month or whatever. But I stopped doing that for whatever reason. Not poor, This is Charman brand hot sauce. Guess we could hold that up to the camera or something like that.
What up, Charman? Send us some free hot sauce.
While we're shouting out, I want to like beg, Squarespace and Blue Apron and what are all those real popular ones?
We need all those sponsorships.
Yeah. Adam and Eve.
These $50 lights weren't.
Yeah.
They don't pay for themselves.
We need some cooler lights here. Real sweaty. But yeah, it's like a verde hot sauce. I've tried it before. It's kind of Well, I guess we'll find out.
It looks really
Don't want to
good.
give the surprise away.
It says it's half human, half goat, and it's said to be. That's what it says. Billy Whack.
That's the character on the front.
Okay, so that's Billy Whack.
It's made out of half human and half goat.
Spicy. Said to be creation of a World War II era genetic experiment gone wrong. Sightings and attacks have been documented around the Aliso Canyon area of Ventura County since the 1950s.
Oh wow! I wonder if that's a real thing or just like something they made up for the hot sauce.
I bet it's real. I bet it's like a legend, like a
cryptozoic kind of thing.
Yeah,
I love that shit. I'll have to look into that.
Oh,
but
my LaCroix is gone. That means we have one more record.
Yeah.
And shout out to Burnham Brewery too. Actually, I know I said something a little earlier, but our band Nervous Burger is doing a collaboration beer with them. Which I don't know. Have you been keeping up with that chat, the beer chat?
I haven't seen much from it.
Okay, well, it's ridiculous. So we went from being real sensible. So Burnham Brewing is going to do a collaboration beer with Nervous Burger. They're having their, I believe it's their 4th anniversary party, June 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
And each band that they have play at their anniversary party, they're going to debut a beer for them, specifically for that band. So with us, we had a couple different ideas, but everybody's stoked to do hamburger beer.
Hamburger beer.
Yeah, so the band's named Nervous Burger, so they want to do a burger beer. And they actually, we're talking about different things like ketchup for part of the sugar base and ground mustard seeds, pickles. But they even talked about like grilling some hamburgers and throwing them in the fermenter.
Really?
I had to put the kibosh on that, because not everybody is.
That sounds like food poisoning.
Yeah,
to happen.
But yeah, so
patty floating around over.
So that beer is questionable, but this beer.
So that's not what we landed on. Then it's still kind of.
No, that's what they want to do.
Oh, well, I guess we'll see.
I told them, I said it's either going to be really bad, and a lot of people will be talking about it, or surprisingly, maybe it'll be really good.
Yeah.
So
I think it'll be interesting no matter what, for sure.
This is their creamed corn. This is when the weather is hot, like it is right now.
Yeah.
And you just want like a light beer, but you don't want to buy some, bottom of the barrel stuff. You still want to get something local, something tasty. Burnham Brewery, creamed corn.
There we go.
That's where it's at.
They're a good company. I've liked a lot of the beers that they've brewed that you've had in here.
Their artwork's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part of
I got one record right here. It's a 3-disc set from the Grateful Dead.
the old GD.
As soon as the weather gets a little better and it starts feeling like it's festival season, I start pulling out the jam band stuff. This one's particularly cool because it's a 3-disc set from 1967, and the Grateful Dead, I always look at them as having as being like 3 different bands. So
by era.
Yeah. In the early 60s, they were kind of like a rough, raw, psychedelic garage rock, acid rock band. By the time they hit the 70s, they were a bit more smoothed out, really creamy. The Europe 72 era stuff's real polished and real good.
Yeah.
Then once they get to the 80s, they're almost a different band again. Brent Midland's in the band. The guitar tones have completely changed. Their harmonies are real tight. But this era is like when they very first started. Pigpen, the organ player and kind of frontman for the band, is still in there. You got songs like The Other One, Cryptical Envelopment, Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, Viola Lee Blues, and it's just real, turn the amp up to 10. It's just real good stuff. So it's a $70 box set. I've been waiting for months to open it up because I was just hoping somebody would come in and buy it.
Oh yeah.
But
you given it a listen yet?
I caved. Yeah, I gave it a listen. It's really good.
Worth $70, you think?
Man, $70 is a high ticket price. For me, But I'd say if it was 50, I would scoop it up immediately.
Right on, yeah.
I can see why it sat on the shelves a little bit. If you can see this, November 10th and 11th. So this show was Buffalo Springfield, Grateful Dead, and Blue Cheer. And if you've never checked out Blue Cheer, you should definitely check them out.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
So what's the lineup on that one then?
The lineup for the members?
Yeah.
So it's Bob Weir. Oh, that's the other interesting thing about this record. So Grateful Dead has 2 drummers. But early on in their career, there were a couple times where they didn't have 2 drummers.
Oh, yeah.
They started off with Bill Kreutzmann. This was recorded only 6 weeks after Mickey Hart, their second drummer, joined the band.
Oh, really?
So it's Mickey Hart, Bill Kreutzmann, Pigpen is still on keys, Jerry Garcia, and Bob Weir.
Nice.
That's the lineup on this one. So yeah,
I'm surprised more bands don't do the 2-drummer thing. It just sounds awesome. You know what I mean?
it sounds real cool. Yeah,
like King Gizzard.
yeah.
Bands like that.
King Gizzard, Grateful Dead.
Band Bleachers I listen to. They have 2 drummers.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
It's usually like a drummer and then you have a percussionist.
Yeah, a guy on the side doing
Yeah.
whatever you call that thing.
Yeah. Rarely is it. I'm surprised Bleachers has 2 drummers.
Yeah, well, a lot of one of the guy, he has a lot of like electronic drum stuff that he does. So it's like a mix of acoustic and electronic drums.
That's cool.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, guys, I gotta take a short break, and actually, you probably won't notice the break at all.
Yeah.
We'll probably just have like a cool wipe or something. But we'll be back with a burger and some hot sauce.
Oh yeah.
And we're back. So we're going to be giving this Charman brand Verde hot sauce a taste real soon here. I cooked this up an Impossible burger.
Possibly delicious.
Tell you what, take a look at that burger right there. I'll zoom it in for you. Okay?
Zoom right up on that burger.
You're thinking, that's a real hamburger. Guess what? It's not. It's a vegetarian burger.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
It's the first vegetarian burger that actually tastes like a real hamburger.
Yeah, it really does.
And we served them here at the record shop, and then immediately after we started serving them at the record shop, White Castle picked them up. I'm not saying they copied us, but it does seem a little suspicious.
I don't see why they had to do that. I mean, their veggie burgers were great.
The Dr. Progers,
yeah.
And the Dr. Progers were probably less expensive too. These are not cheap,
Oh yeah.
No, they're not. So I don't know what they're charging for those sliders. They're probably getting a better deal than I am since they're a big fast food chain. Actually, now that I think about it, but
smaller patties too.
Yeah. But it's going to be kind of cool. It'll be kind of cool to, if it's 2 a.m. driving home from Indianapolis or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Got the munchies. You can pull over.
Yeah.
Because usually if you're vegetarian, it's just the pickings are pretty slim around that hour.
Yeah.
So we got a guest with us here, little Otis.
Yeah, how you doing?
Before, when we were taking the burger break, Wade mentioned to me, he asked if I had seen the screenshots.
Yeah. New Rob Zombie movie. 3 from Hell, it's called?
3 from Hell.
And they just released the pictures of all the the Firefly gang.
Yeah. Now, we're both avid horror film fans. I think as the podcast episodes continue to go on, you're going to see a lot of our Shudder recommendations.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know what Shudder is a
just recommend that in general.
Yeah, it's only $5 a month, and you get a lot of horror movies. And the thing about Shudder is it's really awesome because not only do they do like the B horror, the schlock stuff, but they also do regular big budget horror movies.
Yeah.
But their exclusive content's actually really good too.
Yeah. There's a show on there that you recommend. I still haven't watched it.
Beyond the Walls.
Beyond the Walls. I still gotta check that
Beyond
out.
the Walls is great. Without ruining it for anybody, if you do the free trial or if you have a Shudder account, you want to watch Beyond.
It's only $5 a month. I mean,
it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
You're probably going to spend $5 a month on I don't know, Starbucks,
Yeah.
something. So it's like one less coffee. You can, but Beyond the Walls, this woman. So as a kid, I was always obsessed with secret passageways and
Yeah.
tunnels and stuff, and those houses with like the bookshelves where you press it and then you go into some secret room.
Yeah.
Well, Beyond the Walls, this woman inherits a house. She goes down in the basement and she finds basically the opening to pretty much not a whole different world, but you'll see it when you watch it. But then very soon she finds out that she can't figure out how to get back into her house.
Oh, really?
So the story is like a 4 or 5 part mini series of her being kind of lost in this new world.
Right.
It's really
That's
good.
Cool. It's foreign, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember what country it's from?
I don't, but a lot of the
European.
Yeah, a lot of that Shudder exclusive content, I'm guessing they buy from other countries.
Oh yeah.
They get the best of
which is great because generally, I mean, myself as a horror fanatic, I mean, I love horror from seeing the differences in horror, like an Asian horror movie versus like European or American and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Asian definitely has its own style.
Oh yeah,
Italian horror really has its own style.
Asian ghost lore is probably some of the scariest shit I could think of.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, like Shudder is a great service. Check that out. But my favorite horror movie of all time, probably. It's hard to say what your favorite is of all time of anything,
right.
But House of a Thousand Corpses is probably my favorite horror film of all time.
Masterpiece.
I think that Rob Zombie just nails it when it comes to when it came to that movie. It took like all the elements, because if you think about like what really scares you, one of the things that really scares me is the backwoods hillbilly thing. Your car breaking down in the hills of Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
And you just because if your car breaks down in the middle of a city, you can scream for help, and perhaps somebody will hear you.
Perhaps.
But if your car breaks down, let's say in Texas where there's nobody for miles around, and there happens to be this crazy family like the Firefly gang.
Have you ever been in a situation like that before, where you've dealt with some,
No. Mm-mm.
characters giving you some odd vibes?
I'll tell you what, man. Also, like, not to be weird, but like, I have a slight paranoia about Amish people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I can agree with that.
I don't mean it to be rude. It just seems there's just like sometimes I feel like I think maybe it's just from growing up and watching Children of the Corn, and like the Malachi thing.
Yeah.
And, but I feel like if you got deep into the heart of Amish country, if they wanted to make you disappear for some reason, they could too.
Yeah.
I think it's just anywhere that's like way off in the middle of the country where there's no ability to like contact police or
the whole thing seems really. I mean, it probably offensive to use cult as a word, but like it's
culty,
cultish.
But House of a Thousand Corpses, great movie. The follow-up to it was more of the critics' favorite. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
It was a little cops and robbers-ish for me.
Yeah,
What'd you think?
I think House of a Thousand Corpses was more of a horror movie, and like
Dr.
Devil's Rejects.
Satan.
Yeah. All that stuff, and like the kind of vintage spook show kind of aesthetic that the whole thing had.
Yeah.
But Devil's Rejects, it's more of like an action thriller kind of.
Love the movie.
Stuff like that.
Thought it was
it's
good.
great.
Wasn't quite. I didn't quite agree with the critics that it was the better of the two. But so you showed me sent me the link for the screenshot of and Rob Zombie's description. And what did that read? What basically information did they give us?
Really, I think the only thing he's disclosed so far is that they're in court.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like, it's still up for interpretation whether it's a prequel, like some people are saying, or if it's like a direct sequel to Devil's Rejects, because they could be in court following all that shit, or they could be in court before all of it happened for something else. That
it looked like in one of the stills, like his face was all like because spoiler alert if you haven't seen Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
At the end of Devil's Rejects, they just get riddled with bullets.
Yeah, full on Bonnie and Clyde kind of moment going on there.
And it looked like his face was kind of messed up in one of the shots.
Oh, yeah.
Otis's face, but
so I'm assuming, they must have somehow lived.
well, that's what I kind of like, and I'm not the one. This has been a fan theory. The movie was called The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
So the thought is maybe that they got shot, they go to hell, and not even the devil wants
Satan's
them.
like, no, just...
So they end up, and then there's also the theory that, you got Dr. Satan from the first movie.
Yeah.
That perhaps Dr. Satan
there was like a
operates on
deleted.
them.
There was a deleted scene supposedly from the Devil's Rejects, right? Where
I have not heard about this. What
like
was it?
I think I might be wrong about this, but I think there's a deleted scene somewhere of Dr. Satan in a hospital somehow. So maybe he had some involvement in the fact that they're still alive or something.
Well, he definitely has plenty of organs and body parts to pull from.
Thousands, one could say.
That he could interchange.
Yeah.
Sid Haig, the guy who plays the clown character, he's just one of my favorites.
Oh, he's great. Everything he's in too, not just that character. Like he was great in the Night of the Living Dead remake, and
I think I read something that where Danny Trejo is supposed to be in this new movie.
Oh, really? That'd be cool.
I could be wrong.
I think they have put out the cast listing. So
I think I read Danny Trejo. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
But
I'd like to hear more about the plot. He's been really hush hush about it.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, if the whole thing, I'll be honest, if the whole thing is a courtroom drama, I'll be a little disappointed.
Yeah, I never thought about it being that.
Hopefully we see them. I'd like to see them break away.
Yes. Oh, an escape scene. That would be so good. I think. Yeah.
And I would definitely like to see, we never really... There was no real follow-up on what happened to their house after they were on the run.
Right.
So
they just show the police kind of raiding it, right?
Yeah, I'd like to see what happened with all of that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, well let's try this let's try this hot sauce out here. Old burger time.
There's a little dipperino there. Pretty good.
Oh yeah.
It's got spice, but it's got a little bit of tang too.
It's got tang, yeah.
I think that's where the verde comes in. What makes it verde? Is it just they use different peppers and shit, right?
Yeah, I really wish I knew Spanish.
It means green.
I think verde means green, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it green tomatoes?
Could be, yeah. Green tomatoes, green
tomatoes?
peppers.
It's good
stuff, yeah.
I'm not a huge burn your mouth off guy. I'm more of a flavor guy.
Yeah. This is definitely...
I like spice though.
Yeah.
But I just don't want it to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for watching this pilot episode of the podcast.
It's been a good time.
I know there's probably been some clunkiness, maybe some starts and stops here that weren't exactly smooth, but that's what first episodes are for. I think.
Right.
So we'll see you next time with more hot sauce, more Shutter recommendations.
Oh yeah,
more creepy head masks, and
a lot more creepy head masks.
More LaCroix and more Burnham Brewing.
What more could you ask for, really? I mean,
you could be greedy and ask for more.
Yeah, but hey.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Things we like with Wade
and Mike. See you next time.